The entire palace froze in horror as the chief's wife pushed out a giant black snake instead of a baby. The royal midwife screamed and scattered across the floor as the massive black snake landed on the blood-covered cloth, twisting violently. Thunder struck outside immediately. Rain poured heavily on the palace roof. The chief stood frozen beside the doorway, unable to breathe. Then, suddenly, the snake lifted its head slowly. Its glowing red eyes looked around the room, and it spoke. "Where is my sacrifice?" The entire palace went silent. Chief Adesina staggered backwards in fear. His wife, Queen Morenike, weak and sweating heavily after childbirth, started crying uncontrollably. What is that thing?" The snake hissed loudly. "I am the child you asked for." Villagers outside the palace started running as the midwives rushed out screaming, "Spirit child! Spirit child!" Within minutes, the entire kingdom fell into panic, but nobody knew the real truth. 12 years earlier, Chief Adesina and Queen Morenike had desperately searched everywhere for a child. Every year, the pressure became worse. Villagers mocked them secretly. Elders whispered that the throne was cursed. One night, during a heavy storm, an old, mysterious woman appeared at the palace gates, carrying a black calabash. Her voice was cold. "You want a child?" The queen immediately fell to her knees, crying, "Please help me."
Who are you?
The old woman smiled strangely. "You will get your child, but the kingdom will pay for it." The chief hesitated, but his wife grabbed the calabash and drank everything immediately. The old woman smiled again, then disappeared into the darkness. 3 months later, the queen became pregnant. The entire kingdom celebrated wildly. Cows were slaughtered. Drums filled the village. Women danced everywhere. Finally, the kingdom would have an heir. But strange things started happening immediately. Goats were found dead every morning. Snakes appeared inside the palace almost daily. Children woke up crying at midnight, claiming they heard hissing sounds outside their windows. Then one night, Queen Morenike suddenly woke up screaming, "There's something moving inside me!" Her stomach moved violently under the wrapper like something crawling. Chief Adesina rushed backwards in fear. The queen's voice suddenly changed, deep, cold, hungry. "He is coming." The next morning, the royal priest was summoned urgently. Priest Babalola entered the palace slowly, carrying cowries and spiritual bells. The moment he saw the queen, his face changed completely. He whispered quietly, "You people have invited something ancient into this kingdom." The chief panicked immediately. "Can you stop it?" The priest looked terrified. "No." Thunder struck outside instantly. That same night, the queen went into labor. The palace became chaotic. Women rushed in and out carrying hot water. The queen screamed endlessly. Then suddenly, silence. Complete silence. The candles inside the room went out by themselves. The air became cold, and slowly the giant black snake slid out onto the floor, speaking, breathing, alive. The kingdom never remained the same after that night. Every full moon, the snake demanded a sacrifice. If nobody dies, everybody dies. At first, the villagers refused to believe it until the first full moon arrived. That night, strange screams echoed across the village. The next morning, 3 children were found dead beside the river. No wounds, no blood, only black marks around their necks. Fear swallowed the kingdom instantly. The snake grew bigger every week. Soon it became impossible to hide. Sometimes villagers saw it moving across the palace roof at night. Sometimes they heard it whispering inside the walls. And strangely, Queen Morenike protected it like a real child. "He is still my son," she cried whenever villagers demanded its death. But the kingdom was already turning against the royal family. One afternoon, angry villagers stormed the palace carrying fire torches. "You brought this curse upon us. Kill the snake. Save the kingdom." Chief Adesina stood before the crowd, sweating heavily. "Please calm down." Suddenly, loud hissing. Everybody froze. The giant black snake slowly appeared behind the queen, now twice its original size, its red eyes glowing brightly. Then it spoke again. "More." Villagers started running instantly. The snake lunged forward violently. Chaos exploded across the palace courtyard. People fell. Women screamed. Men dropped their weapons trying to escape. The royal priest began chanting desperately while shaking spiritual bells. But the snake only laughed. "Yes, I remember this kingdom." The priest froze. Then slowly his eyes widened in horror. "You..." The snake raised its giant head proudly. "My father built this kingdom." Silence. The priest's hands started shaking. Hundreds of years earlier, the kingdom had betrayed an ancient river god after stealing sacred gold from his shrine. The god swore revenge before disappearing forever. Now, the spirit had returned, not as a monster, but as an heir to the throne. That night, Priest Babalola gathered the chiefs secretly. There is only one way to stop it. Chief Adesina looked desperate. "Tell me." The mother must sacrifice herself willingly. The chief's heart dropped instantly. Meanwhile, outside, the snake had already wrapped itself around the palace pillars, waiting for the next full moon. Queen Morenike overheard everything, and before sunrise, she disappeared quietly from the palace. Hours later, villagers discovered her standing alone beside the sacred river wearing white cloth. The giant snake slowly approached her through the water. Tears filled her eyes. She touched its massive head gently. "My son." The snake stared at her silently. Then suddenly, she stabbed herself with the sacred dagger. The river exploded violently. Massive black smoke filled the sky. The snake released a terrifying scream that shook the entire kingdom. And then, both mother and snake vanished beneath the river forever. Silence covered the kingdom. Heavy silence. Days later, peace finally returned. No more deaths. No more snakes. No more whispers at night. But your full moon, villagers still claim that you'll hear hissing sounds near the river. And sometimes, a woman's voice crying softly in the darkness. Now tell me, would you have drank the mysterious calabash for a child? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Tales by Eniola for more dark African folk tales every week.